Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your 2 or maybe even 3 times a week dose of the finest 2A propaganda. The Gun Owners of America has just appealed a gag order which was issued all the way back in 2023, and to find out why they've waited so long to appeal it, let's rewind and figure out how we got there in the first place. Back in 2021, the GOA issued a FOIA asking the ATF to release all the documents they have on their spying program. There's this thing where the ATF has been watching people from the more authoritarian states to see if they go and pick up a firearm in another state, and then, well, we don't have any proof of what they do after that, but we are pretty sure that they are spying on people who are not accused of any crime or prohibited possessor. And we can only assume they intend to rat those people out to the authoritarian states they live in. So the GOA issued a Freedom of Information Act request to the ATF, requesting for all the documents related to that spying program. Then the ATF, in their nearly limitless incompetence, complied with the FOIA request without redacting information that they deemed to be personal or sensitive in some way. Of course, we have no idea what was actually in the information that was unredacted, but the important part is the ATF says that they didn't mean to release that information, and they went back to the court trying to claw back that information, put a gag order on the GOA. The GOA naturally wants to publish all this information, but not at the risk of going to prison for it. The problem is, and this is where we come full circle in how we got to this point, because the court issued the gag order back in 2023, but the court never actually got around to issuing a final judgment in the case. So it's been a year and a half on this case and still no final judgment. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Streisand effect. In ATF's attempts to cover up their spying operations, they have only brought more attention to the spying. And of course, I hope that GOA has some sort of unfortunate leak and we get to find out what's in those redacted documents. And until then, we'll just have to wait and see. But hey, it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors. So let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by Springfield Armory.
Imagine a 9mm carbine with roller delay action just like Kraut Space Magic. Now imagine it didn't have garbage ergonomics. The brand new Kuna from Springfield Armory gives you that roller-delayed, smooth recoil you're looking for with reversible, non-reciprocating charging handle and MB absolutely everything.
Well, the NRA just announced another wave of firings. Naturally, none of them will be the senior leadership who spent like drunken sailors and got them into this sticky situation in the first place. So far, about 36 people have been fired, with a savings of approximately $16 million, but much of that savings comes from scaling back their other operations, such as their magazines and whatnot. Now, I know it's not uncommon for corporations and nonprofits to fire the underlings instead of the decision makers when they go through troubles, but if they did fire the decision makers instead of the cannon fodder who have no say in these things, maybe they wouldn't do stupid shit like praising the Republicans for maintaining the Biden-era funding levels for the ATF. That's right, the NRA was so afraid of a government shutdown, which, correct me if I'm wrong here, has nothing at all to do with gun rights, but they were so afraid of a government shutdown that they praised the Republicans for ending the shutdown. And, you know, passing that continuing resolution that continues to fund the ATF at the exact same funding levels that Biden wanted them to be funded at. Maybe that's not a great look for the National Rifle Association, but maybe that's just me. Tell me down there in the doobly-doo how I'm being too hard on the NRA. If you've been following this channel for long, you know I'm not the biggest aficionado of scatterguns. I think that they're mostly just for birds and doors, and any serious purposes are usually better accomplished with a rifle or a handgun. That said, the Benelli M4 is a popular scattergun, and one of the things that's always bothered me the most about it is that stupid little accordion thing that tells you it's not a real M4 with a proper 7+1 round magazine capacity, and now they fixed that. See, the problem was, it is an imported shotgun from Italy, like, you know, sports cars and stuff like that. And because it's imported, it is subject to the 922R import restrictions, and that has to do with the capacity and stuff like that. All bunch of made up stuff by the ATF mostly that has to do with sporting purposes and however they decide that interfaces with the way things work. Now, the reason the Benelli M4 is normally seen in its neutered state in the US is because of the stupid 922R import restrictions we were just talking about last week. I know some of you based fellows don't really care about them much, but they do exist, and for companies that were to do the importing, they have to abide by it. Somehow, Benelli has managed to get around the import restrictions on magazine capacity. I don't know, there's probably several ways they could have gotten around the 922R restrictions, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are down there in the doobly-doo. Of course, it comes with the 7+1 round capacity, as I mentioned, a 5-position stock with an integrated pistol grip, and an oversized bolt release optimized for fast engagement, even with gloved hands. All the standard stuff that you would expect on an M4. I think that's all standard, right? Marlin has partnered up with Hornady to bring you a new 10mm lever gat. Hornady's 140 grain 10mm FTX was designed specifically for this new Marlin lever gun, which will, I guess, let you combine your Cyberpunk 2020 cosplay with your outlaw cosplay. For the record, Ruger now owns Marlin, and Hornady is one of our sponsors, though they did not sponsor this episode and they didn't ask us to cover this ammo. Well, before I let you go, let's check in on the forums real quick. CivTacker87 posted a thread in GD bragging about bagging 2 whitetails within spitting distance of each other, which was made possible by hunting with a whisper pickle. Lots of good posts in there about hunting with the silencer, so if you'd like to join the discussion and give your opinion on how and why you ought to hunt with a silencer, join us over at ARFCOM. I'd give you the address, but YouTube hates me. And if you'd like to read or share some of your own funny or horror stories from the public range, you should check out this thread in GD. Well, friends, thanks for watching. And if you would like to help us keep delivering you pure American propaganda at the low price of free, don't forget that it would be literally impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors. So do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. Love you.